All right. Thank you so much for that. Welcome, Emanuela. Thank you, Kiana. Thank you, Evelyn, Stephanie, for this opportunity to share my expertise with all of the attendees. You all heard from Tina. She did a fantastic job talking to you about your capability statements, why they're important, what you need to have in your capability statement, and what updates need to be made. Like Emanuela said, right now we're in unprecedented times. Business as usual is no longer business as usual. And now that you've completed your application package, you passed the on-site audit and the visit, received your certification, again, now what do you do? So what I did is put together an acronym that we're going to go over, and you'll see it's here, BUILD. We're going to talk about building online and offline marketing strategies so that you can know how to stand out in a virtual world where it's very noisy. Using resources and tools effectively, identifying key relationships, how to truly leverage your DBE certification, and the bottom line is why doing the work is so important. So the first thing is, and you'll see me going back and forth here, I'm a tech nerd, so I have 3 screens up, and I have a lot of notes. The first thing is, the essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. So many of you all I have met in person, and we've either talked online or met on LinkedIn, and the way I built my company coming into this was I actually worked in multiple industries. And so when COVID-19 happened, we actually had the legal space that we worked in. I've been in business since 2013. We've done some work in the Fortune 500 space, so we actually diversified our industries. One of the things that I find with a lot of DBEs is we're not diversifying our industries. And so as a certified DBE going into this, I want to talk about what we should be choosing to do versus choosing not to do. So the first thing is, how do you build an online and offline marketing strategy? Well, you can't create an effective marketing strategy or content without knowing who you want to work with as a result of that marketing. So the content that you're putting out, the messages that you're putting out online and even offline need to communicate that you want to do business. Most people that meet me know I'm serious about doing business. I'm not afraid to ask for the business. I'm not afraid to say, what do we need to do to get the business? If not now, when? A denial is just a delay. But we have to have content that actually speaks to that. And I love what Tina was saying with the capability statement and the buzzwords. And one of the things I was thinking about when she was speaking about the capability statement, in addition to that, is making sure that your business card actually is very simple. So one of the things I'm going to put here, and if you send me an email, you have the information, is we actually have our next codes and our brief set of capabilities and our certification logos on the back of our business card. Because from an offline marketing, when we are once again meeting each other in face-to-face, we want to have that information available. Also, virtually, as we're talking about this from our online strategy and standing out, what does your email signature look like? You are a certified DBE company, and being a DBE, I'll tell you, is by far the most difficult certification to achieve. It's the most paperwork. They really, truly do due diligence, and maybe that's why we get all those years to be a DBE, and it's free. So a lot of us that had our DBE in order, it was much simpler to submit our documentation for the PPP or the EIDL because, again, you're doing so much work. But you cannot create, again, effective marketing content without knowing who do you want to work with. Which prime companies are you going after? Some of us that are non-traditional companies that we're not out, pouring cement and painting the walls and things like that are more traditional, our content has to speak the language, and maybe we're better off seeking out the opportunities as a subcontractor. So one of the things I want to point out is when we're building our online strategies, let's talk about marketing and distribution. I'm going to talk in depth about LinkedIn because it's my favorite platform, but LinkedIn is where the leaders are. That's where your supplier development professionals are. And it's important, even your DBE managers are on LinkedIn. Your prime companies, their leaders are on LinkedIn, those that you need to have contact with. Facebook, I would say it's for friends, family, fun. I don't invest a lot of time on Facebook, but again, some of the supplier development professionals have become my friends as well. But again, it's for friends, family, and fun. Twitter, well, you know what? Twitter over the years has kind of been one of those things that it's kind of fun to read some tweets, but I haven't seen that it's worked really well, again, in the government space. Instagram, now, I'll tell you, I'm not a big person. I like Instagram from a personal perspective, but a company that gets it right is HD White Logistics. Hope gets it right on Instagram. She markets on Instagram. An opportunity came up that was mentioned in a government group that I'm in for logistics, and guess what? I I remember seeing Hope and I was able to refer that business over to her. So again, it depends on what your strategy is. She's showing pictures. She's talking about her training and development. So again, it's important if that is where your target audience is. YouTube is the second largest search engine and it's Google's baby. They own it. You want to make sure that you have content on YouTube. I know that a lot of small businesses struggle with, well, I don't have the budget. And the top three challenges really that a lot of small businesses, especially minority-owned DBE businesses, struggle with are marketing and advertising, time management, access to capital. But with YouTube, you want to create content that you can take that capability statement and bring it to life. You want to have content about your company. What sets you apart and makes you stand out? You want to have educational content, informative content. You want to have authoritative content. And you want to have content that position you as a leader, a thought leader in your space and in your industry answering questions. It takes a while to build up YouTube. I have about 39,000 subscribers on my channel, over 5 million views over a decade. I've been on it a decade. But I'll tell you this, you concentrate more on just providing great content versus views, you're going to see how you can use that platform as leverage in putting those videos on your website. Now, again, Tina and I both mentioned websites. We have to have professional websites. We really want to get away from the excuse of just not having it or I haven't had the time to invest in it. Our prime companies, our subtracting companies that want to work with us are going to Google you. And a lot of times they can't remember what your website is. So they're going to put in your business name and boom, it's going to come up. But what else is going to come up? So make sure that you have a professional website. If you haven't Googled yourself or Googled your business, Google it and see what else is coming up from your name and your business perspective. Now, I said we talk about LinkedIn in depth. So LinkedIn is the world's largest online business networking platform with more than 350 million users in over 200 countries and territories. I have here, again, I'm big on acronyms. I used to be a school teacher 20 years ago, so I love giving you content information that helps it make it easy for you to remember. But LinkedIn here, it's about leveraging relationships on LinkedIn on that platform. You can identify new opportunities. There's a way to search on that platform. I have a course out that teaches you how to navigate the platform effectively, and it's free for DBEs. You need to know when to connect on that platform, how to educate your audience, determine the best times to post. There's ways to improve engagement and narrow down new opportunities. So connect with me on LinkedIn. All you have to do is take out your phone, open up the camera, and literally, this is called a QR code. You can put it there and it's going to open right up to LinkedIn. And again, that's another way to connect with the supplier diversity professional. Hey, can we connect on LinkedIn? Oh, you know what? Do you have the app? And they can open it up and see that QR code. And then, of course, you're kind of like the expert in that instant. But again, connect with me on LinkedIn and I'll be happy to share that information for that free course on how you can leverage LinkedIn as a certified business, because business is happening on LinkedIn because that's where the leaders are during the day. Right now, we're in a virtual world. We're on LinkedIn. The next thing here about building your online and offline strategies is understanding and just showing up for these educational opportunities. See you all chatting in the inbox and we're like, hey, Montina, glad to see you on the list. Many of you I know, but chat with others that are there as well. Again, traditional and non-traditional businesses, we want to find opportunities to work with each other. Make sure that Kiana and Emanuela know who you are. Make sure that Evelyn and Stephanie know who you are. So showing up to opportunities like this, hello, hi, how are you? That's really important. The next one here that we have is, let's talk about using resources and tools effectively in our businesses. I know that our budgets are limited, especially if you're new to business, if you haven't diversified or even had that first contract, you're looking like I'm DB certified. You want to make sure that you're doing things differently. When you're following people online, a lot of them are talking about having things that are called tripwires. We'll go to the website, offer this downloadable guide. It's different in this space. You want to make sure that when you're reaching out, and Stephanie, I'm kind of just using her as an example, and she's a friend as well. But I can't reach out to her every single week and bombard her with emails and phone calls and information. But guess what? Once a quarter, I can have a client relationship management tool that reminds me to reach out, let her know what's going on in my business. With some of the primes, I just reached out and said, how can we help? This is what we do. So again, these are things that you can do online. Social media, it is here to stay. and you want to make sure that you, if possible, can automate some of that information over. So again, there are tools. One is called Buffer app that we use for our clients. If you want to have that Facebook page, it can automate for LinkedIn, but you want to make sure, a lot of you might say, I don't have the time to do it. You want to automate it. Look at social media as your business development tool, just like you would for your offline management. Our payroll, one that I like and I put here, is Gusto. I was actually talking with a friend today that went from less than 6 figures in 2018 to now over 2 million. And she's like, I need something to manage my payroll. And it needs to be, I believe it was DCAA compliant or DAA compliant. Well, I like using Gusto. It's $39 a month. Many of us, there were many minority firms that were unable to take advantage of the PPP funding in first round. But we want to make sure that we have tools in place that help us build and scale our businesses. Your bookkeeping is another one. I started paying attention to my books and sit with a financial advisor that I have through Access to Capital for Entrepreneurs. These things are important for our businesses, especially when we need the bonding to have in place and we want to scale. Access to capital. We know that's one of the major challenges for DBE businesses, but again, be able to leverage and have the right conversations and to fix the things that need to be fixed so that you can get the bonding that you need for your company and access to business credit and business loans. Another thing is email tools, and Tina, she did hint on this about the info and all of that. Some of you all are still using Gmails and Hotmails and Yahoos, and you've heard this over and over and over. Please, it's $5 a month to just use like G Suite for your business. And use them with G Suite if you want to have an info, an admin, a gov, that is, in addition to your email address, it's free. Need questions, have questions, need help, let me know. Another thing is, I put PandaDoc here, but there's a free service called Doc Hub. And you're going to get this presentation so you'll have it all. But it's a way to sign contracts. And it's actually free with Doc Hub, but it's a way for you to get your contracts signed. One of the biggest mistakes I made in my business, my second year, I lost $60,000. And it was because I wasn't getting the contract signed right, and you kind of like send the contract or they might email a portion back. So get this in place early on, especially when you want to communicate with the primes and say, here's our contract, here's our information, here's how you can sign it or DocuSign or vice versa. Pipedrive, again, is just another tool to manage your business development. It's like putting your contracts or information, my first touch with someone. I want to know how long it took me to actually close that deal. What I like about doing this today with this presentation is I'm a non-traditional business, but just like you, I'm knocking on doors. So I'm not sitting here teaching or telling something that I'm not doing. And there's one contract we just received from a prime, but it took about 8 months to close, but I was able to track all of the touches. And the last one I talk about is healthcare. It's very important for us to have payroll and have employees. I use Redirect Health. It's $135 a month per employee. I also use it for myself. And so it's, again, a way for you to have just a tool for your business, okay? All right, and the next thing is identify key relationships. Who do you need to know? Remember, who is it that you want to work with? How can we work together? What I actually love about working in the government space, dealing with Department of Transportation, dealing with the housing authorities, is that they're looking for us to work together. They're looking for us to have consortiums and teaming agreements and partnerships. So who do you need to know where you can identify key relationships and work together? One of the things I want to point out is that at MARTA, if you don't know, projects over $200,000 have a DBE goal. Now, they have a DBE goal. And just so you know, there's something I wanted to read here. The primary remedial goal and objective of the DBE program is to level the playing field by providing small businesses owned and controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals a fair opportunity to compete for federally funded transportation contracts. So it's here to level the playing field for us. So again, that's really important. Identify those key relationships. Who do you need to work with? Who do you need to know? How can you get an introduction? How can you get connected with them on LinkedIn? Who can make that introduction? So it's important. Make sure they know your name. And then leveraging the DBE certification. Again, Tina talked about your capability statements. I won't go in depth with that. But in addition to that, one of the things that we do is we're sending out emails. Sometimes we'll include the capability statement. One of the things we also did is, when we were at events, we had just simple postcards and information. We want to make sure that we're standing out. And like she said, making sure that your colors match. So when they go to the website, it still has the same look, it has the same feel, it has the same design. And these aren't very expensive to do at all. Again, we're also using our certifications, and we have those on our website. The other thing is the elevator pitch, and I love telling stories. I have a friend that runs a janitorial service, and she's phenomenal, been in business 20 plus years, and we'd be at events, and she's like, yeah, I just, I do facilities and janitorial services. And I'm like, you sell trust. Because every time I talk to her, she's telling me about a story where maybe someone went in house and the people that were working for them stole from them. And then I was able to actually refer her business because I had a client that had a large law firm, and that happened to them. The people there were stealing from them. So I said, it's not that you just have this janitorial service, you're selling trust. So one of the things with your elevator pitch is, I help X do Y through Z. And you have to fill out the X, Y, and Z. You want to keep it really simple, but not so simple where it's like, I just do this type of service. And this is especially for my traditional DBEs. I meet you and you're like, yeah, we paint. Oh, okay, but what makes you different if you're telling me you just paint? So again, think about what makes you stand out when your clients are just, amazed and wowed with your service. We have to think of things that add value. And then again, leveraging your certification, your online presence. Make sure that you do have an online presence, even if it's just, like I said, that LinkedIn. Focus on your LinkedIn. We have our DBE certification that's there. There are media files that you can put. When I'm putting up content and posts, you might want to hashtag it. I'll put a proud MBE or proud DBE, but you want to leverage that so that you can stand out in a virtual world. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here is we hear it all the time, and that is doing the work. One of our core values in my company is just exceptional quality. We know that we're going in and we're saying, hey, we want these opportunities, but we want to make sure that we are actually doing an exceptional job. Leverage the relationships as well. People do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. So when you're doing the work, and again, some I know that I've talked to in the past are like, well, I don't necessarily want to talk about the contract that I'm on. We'll talk about it after you've completed the work and get the permission from your client as well. But showcase it. Be proud of what you've done. And as Tina said, demonstrate that past performance. But there's visual ways to do that. Right now we're working with the Prime Construction Company, and they wanted us to actually interview some of their DBEs that they're really proud are on the project. They wanted us to actually do what's called a time lapse so that we can show the different phases of the project. So as you're doing the work, we want to make sure that the certification is the icing on top. And so I want to end here and let you know, as Tina did, whether you have questions about leveraging the certifications, more specific strategy, you want to learn more about digital strategies with us, we're here to help. You can schedule a free call with me. We also have a free library that's set up. And this is something I've been diligent about for DBEs, because when I've met many of you at events, it really is a question of, I don't understand why I'm not getting the business. And for some of you that are traditional businesses, I'm like, I don't understand why you're not getting the business either. Or I can identify right away when I visit your site. I'm like, well, there are some tweaks that need to be done that maybe the supplier diversity professionals can't say to you that a professional like myself can. So we have a library that's set up on additional information on leveraging certifications, LinkedIn, social media. Many of you all are just, you know that you need to be online, but you're really like almost embarrassed. I had one say, I just don't even know what to do. I've been left behind. So we're actually here to help you win. And that concludes my session. Again, we want to make sure that you have all the information, and I have a checklist or a tool and strategy guide that Kiana will be sharing after the event. Thank you.